I just feel like too, a lot of people will get information in their dreams because we are most receptive to psychic information when we sleep.
Welcome to the Phase 4 podcast, inspired by Vishen Lakiani and Ajit Nawalkar, co-founders of EverCoach, a division of Vine Valley. In this podcast, we speak to coaches and creatives about where they were, where they are, and where they are going. This is an intersection of what we focus on expands, and your story is your superpower. My guest today is Becky Dodson. She is a psychic medium, and the name of her website is dogmummedium.com. Today, we're going to talk about this and a bunch more. And Becky, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm definitely grateful. I'm a dog person, so this should be fun. And I always just begin with a little bit like, tell us a bit more about yourself and how did you end up in this space?
Awesome. Thanks. Actually, so I have a little bit of a weird path. So I was in the fitness industry for over 10 years. I was in corporate wellness, and I was a personal trainer and CrossFit coach. And while I'm still super into fitness, I actually got more into mental health, more so than physical health. And I actually went through like this really traumatic relationship with a narcissistic person and around 2019. And I was just in such a deep like depression. I didn't know what I did wrong, and my friend or my roommate at the time said, "Hey, why don't you go see my psychic?" And I said, "All right, well, I'll do anything to feel better." So I gave it a try, and this wasn't my first psychic reading. I've actually had multiple psychics before have tell me that I also had psychic gifts, which, I kind of sensed that I did just because I would think of things before they happen. But I got into more of the spiritual world since 2019 and started tapping into my own gifts along my healing journey from that relationship. So that's kind of where it all started. So I was kind of drawn to tarot cards at first because I just thought they were so beautiful and it was just so interesting. And I started doing tarot readings for my friends and just for fun, just dabbling in this world, and certain things started coming true. So I guess babies and relationships and all these fun things. And I kept it a secret because I was like, who's gonna like want to date a psychic medium, or who? Like, they're gonna think I'm nuts. So I eventually started to do more and more readings via tarot from my friends and referrals of friends, and I didn't charge anyone for it. And then I actually had a tragic loss of a very close friend, and I was going to his funeral, and then he was in the car with me. It's crazy. He was dancing with me, and I was like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" He's like, "Well, you're open to this stuff." So I attended the funeral, and I did a reading for like some coworkers, and their dead relatives started coming through. So it was at that moment around 2022, I realized, oh, well, I'm also a medium. So not everyone is a medium, but everyone is psychic, right? So not everyone has that bridge to the other side. And it turns out I do. So I was like, I just rolled with it. And I was working with my mentor, and she said, "Do you charge for this?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Well, you need to." So that's when I started, the business and kind of putting myself out there and transitioning from, my personal training business more so to my psychic medium reading business.
Nice. Yeah, you could definitely integrate those. They're the same, not the same worlds, but kind of like same idea, spiritual. There's something about exercising that people are more aligned. Something you said back there, everybody's psychic. Not everyone's a medium, but everyone's psychic. I want to know more about that.
Absolutely. So we all have intuition, right? And I mean, I can even ask you, I'm sure you've had a moment in your life where something was just nagging you and you had no physical proof, whether it's, something bad was going to happen or a baby was coming or a certain relationship was going to fall apart. We've all had those gut feelings and there's no physical evidence of where this might be coming from. And a lot of times we doubt ourselves because we are so driven to believe in science and what you can see. And so a lot of times we ignore those intuitive impulses, but that's really what psychic information is. Even if you're in a room of people, you can kind of sense the energy, right? Like you gravitate more to people with bright, beautiful energy or compatible energy with yours, versus you kind of get icky feelings about people. That's all your intuition. That's being psychic, right? So it's just kind of stuff like that. I think that makes everyone kind of psychic.
Yeah, for sure. Even that one with the room, like you don't even need to be looking. You can feel if someone walks in the room sometimes and the whole place will turn it up.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I just feel like too, a lot of people will get information in their dreams because we are most receptive to psychic information when we sleep. Because we're not thinking, oh, that's not real or that's not true. Or you are so able to get more information when we sleep. So a lot of people that I talk to will say, oh, I had a dream and then it happened. That is because we are most receptive to the information.
Yeah, for sure. We're less analytical. Our walls aren't up. We just, I love it. We were talking about dreams last night and how weird it is and how little we know about it. But things like that, you get these intuitive hits in a dream and then you see that same car go by. You're like, oh my God, I dreamt about that last night or whatever. I think intuition, psychic, medium. Okay, so now what is the difference? So I guess I should clarify this. So you're delivering message from spirit guides, but you're also delivering messages from loved ones who passed over. And so is there a split between those? How does it come to you and what does that look like?
Absolutely. So there is psychic information and there's mediumship information. Now, medium information is me connecting to your past loved ones. So let's say, you have a father that's passed away. He might come through because you might need to hear a message from him to let you know that he's okay and he's safe. So they will show up and they typically show up for me on this side of my, what I call screen. And psychic information more so comes over here. But I always receive the information from either a spirit guide or a past loved one. So psychic information can come through from a past loved one. So, dad might be here and he might, tell you he's sending you a baby. So that has happened. Or some people who are blessed enough might not have a whole lot of departed loved ones on the other side. And so I might get psychic information more from their spirit guides. It really all depends. It also depends on how open a client is. Some clients are and they don't, it's not intentional, right? I don't think that they're trying to, but there are some people that have never gotten a reading that they're just kind of skeptical. So that can also keep certain past loved ones, at bay. So I might get more information from spirit guides. But like I said, it really all depends on the client. Before every reading, I always say, hey, spirit, give me the words to serve. And sometimes, like I said, they need to hear from a past loved one. It's going to help their healing, or sometimes they just need more psychic information. The perfect example of this, I had a client one time, her grandmother came through and I gave some specific stuff, evidential stuff, like how they passed, how old were they, just tiny things to validate. But grandma went, she's good with my death. She doesn't need any healing. We need to talk about this boy with a P in his name. And the client was like, yes, oh my gosh. So sometimes they don't need to hear all the evidential information from their past loved one. They just want psychic information. Versus I might have somebody who has suffered a loss that they can even still be grieving it 9 years later, and they just need to know that their loved one's safe. So what I do is get more evidential information, which can be how they passed, family dynamics, stuff that's very specific that I wouldn't be able to just look up or know.
For sure. I was talking to another mother. I guess I'm not a mother, so it's not another. I was talking to a mother at dance. My kids dance with her kids. And she was talking about a psychic she went to see and how this psychic told her like about her grandmother passing over, where it happened, when it happened, who was there, all sorts of stuff that this person didn't even know. So she went back and talked to her mom. She's like, yeah, I went and had this psychic fair and I had this reading and this happened. And her mom's like, oh my God, that's exactly what happened. That was the room and everything. And she's like, whoa. And so like, how else could you explain that except? And then the one you said where some people just want to skip the foreplay and go right to it. Are those people like already, they know about it. They're not analytical. They're into it and they're ready for more.
Yeah. So sometimes like people like are very open to the other side. They're like, yeah, I know grandmother's over there. She's safe. She's cool. What can she tell me about my relationships or the next steps in my career? Or things of that nature. But sometimes it's kind of funny because I will actually get what you were just talking about. I might get information from a past loved one that it might be for your mom. So I had that come through where she lost a baby. The baby is about a year old. So it wasn't like a miscarriage, and those are tragic as well. But she needed to know that baby was okay. Daughter had no idea what I was talking about, but I said, deliver this to your mom. She will know. And then she came back and she was like, wow, that my mom needed to hear that. So sometimes I always just trust what I get. That's why, though, now I do separate my readings into psychic readings and scheduling medium readings. And the reason for that is so that I don't waste a client's time just trying to dabble on like who or what they want to hear about. So it gives them a little bit more control over the session. That doesn't mean a past loved one isn't going to come through in a psychic reading and be like, I'm here. I want to talk. And I want to tell her the psychic information. And same with a medium reading, it's more intention. I know there's somebody on the other side that they want to talk to. So I have them separated, but that just because it's psychic doesn't mean you won't get a past loved one come through. And just because it's medium doesn't mean you won't get psychic information.
Right. There was one other thing you said back there too about some people it just doesn't work for. And those are the people that I'm guessing that it actually is working because they come in and they're like, this won't work for me. And it's like, okay, fine. Then it won't work, right? You're asking the universe, this won't work. So it doesn't. How about animals? Do animals come into this? Like the reason I'm asking, I just came out of a group and this girl, her dog was sick for a while. She had to put her dog down and it was just a devastating morning. So I'm wondering now that we're talking if animals have anything to do with it or they plan to.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's funny because I get asked this all the time because they're like, you're a dog mom medium. I'm like, I really should change my name. But pets do come through. Absolutely. I've had someone's past pets talk about their living pets. It's hilarious. So that has come through for me. Sometimes I've gotten a dog. And he was talking about this black dog came through with this red collar and like he just needed to tell his owner because she had given him up that was the best choice for her. And it was super healing. So it's, it is really funny because I believe we're all made up of the same stuff, like at a soul level, love, light, and your pets are no different. And just because they're on the other side doesn't mean we can't communicate with them. And that doesn't mean that they can't send us signs. And I believe that souls of pets are much more evolved than human souls. I actually had a hamster come to me in a reading too. That was kind of funny. I had a hamster just pop in. So I've had all kinds of pets.
And so dog, mom, medium. So how does that work with your dog? Is he there with you or why is it dog, mom, medium?
It's actually kind of funny because I just posted about this. So I was in fitness. I was dog mom. I was a dog mom trainer. That was part of my, brand. So when I transitioned, I just kept it to dog mom medium. But, hey, look, I attract this very specific type of client just because as mediums and psychics, I feel like we attract who we can help based on our own personal experiences. So like I'm in my mid-30s, I'm single, I'm a dog mom, I'm working on, healing a lot of childhood stuff and working on knowing my worth and my value. And I've come a long way on that healing journey. And a big part of that was, with my dog, Ollie. And so that's kind of the first reason is like, I feel like I identify as a dog mom. Like I'm in my mid-30s, I'm single, like I would love a loving relationship. And I had actually helped clients through my psychic medium reading attract the relationship that they deserve or get out of relationships that are toxic. So that's kind of the first reason, like I call myself or refer to myself as dog mom medium, because I help a lot of other dog moms. And then the other reason is he's super healing. He is in every single one of my readings. He helps ground my energy. And even when I've had in-person readings, he has helped my clients like feel safe and comfortable. So he's part of this business just as much as I am, and he earns his rent. So I wanted to kind of include him in my business.
No doubt. Yeah, dogs they're more evolved, not even on a soul level, just on a physical level. Sometimes they're more evolved.
Yes.
Anyone who has a dog knows that your dog takes on your personalities. They know when you're happy, when you're sad. You don't even have to talk. You go for a walk and the pace just evens out. Somebody started off faster, but it evens out, and so they can read each other. I love it. I have 2 dogs, like I told you, and I absolutely love dogs.
Yes, I think dogs are, super healing for people. And I just love that he's a part of this experience with me. And it's kind of funny because like I live in Colorado, so we hike all the time, and he always attracts people who have just lost their pet, and he's brought them comfort. I'm like, are you a medium? Like, so I really do feel like we're here, me and him, for a very similar purpose. So I thought that was pretty cool, interesting.
That is interesting. Now, I saw you talking about that you want to demystify psychic work, that there's a lot of misconceptions and a lot of psychic gurus on the internet that are just full of it. And so can we dive into that a little bit?
Absolutely. I love this topic. So like, first off, I just want to say there are a lot of good psychics out there. Like, so don't get me wrong. But you kind of have to use your own discernment, and your own intuition and your own psychic knowledge to kind of to pick a psychic reader. Because there are a lot of psychics that aren't ethical out there, right? So, some of the things that I always tell people to look for is if they are telling you in a psychic reading that, you can't attract a relationship or you can't get pregnant because there's a dark aura or something crazy, unless you pay me $600 or some exorbitant amount of money to remove your curse or your block, that is not real. In my opinion, right? As a psychic, I don't know everything, but that's absolutely someone to me who is probably out for more financial gain. So while they could probably tell you everything about your relationship and everything about your struggles with infertility or whatever you're going to see a psychic for, they typically use that information to manipulate you into giving them more money, right? Versus a good psychic or a good medium. For example, I did have a woman struggling with infertility, and Spirit had me talk about her job. And I said, here's the block. You need to leave your job. And I see that you have a husband where that's very possible, but as soon as you leave your job, you're going to get pregnant. And I always advise people, I'm like, hey, you have free will, so you can do what you want, but this is the block. Versus, oh, I know that you have a block around infertility and you really want a baby, pay me this money and I'll remove it, which is absolutely, one, not helpful to the client. And two, it's just unethical and to me, wrong. So that's something you'll look out for. If someone DMs you for a reading, That's typically a huge red flag. They'll say, oh, your throat chakra or your sacral chakra or whatever chakra is blocked. And because they can read your energy from pictures, from posts, they can tell if you're going through a hard time. And some people will use that to manipulate you, which, it is super frustrating. But, it does happen, right?
It happens a lot. I get these spam messages in my folder, like, what's your birthday? Want to do a reading? Are you a Scorpio?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just kind of crazy and wild to me. And the other part we talked about is demystifying this work. So I was actually out on a date the other day and he's like, well, you don't look like a psychic. And I was like, well, what does the psychic look like? He's like, you don't have a ring on every finger and you didn't wear a cloak. And I'm like, okay, yeah, because absolutely, we are not, hey, if you want to wear a ring on every finger and if you do have a crystal ball, more power to you. That's your vibe. I'm totally here for it. But I want to demystify this work. We're all psychic. And just because, I don't look a certain way doesn't mean that we don't have these abilities, right? So, and really, back to readers that are more into it for the financial gain, I am here to be of service and to help people. And so that's really what I want to do and how I want to use my gifts. And I feel, and I tell every one of my clients this is another red flag. I tell them to wait 6 months to a year between readings at minimum, sorry. And other psychics that might not be so ethical will want you to keep coming back and coming back and coming back, right? But that doesn't help the client because then they become reliant on you. My job as a psychic medium and an ethical one is to help you learn to trust yourself so that you actually don't need me anymore, which I know is super counterintuitive, but that's my mission in life, right? I don't want people to have to need me, right? I want them to be able to, and especially women, to trust their gut, to trust their intuition, and use that to navigate their own free will choices so they can kind of manifest the life of their dreams versus relying on me for next steps and information. Now, I do feel that you do need to, I'm going to say it like this. Sometimes you need a catch-up reading, which is what I call it for some of my repeat clients, where they just need some affirmation or just a quick reading just so they know they're on the right track. And there's nothing wrong with that. Or if they've had a new loss of a loved one, and that might be a reason that they come back to me. But again, I don't want them to rely on me or to need me.
Right. And so you said you're in the car, there's a guy who's talking, you see him. So that's clairaudient and clairvoyant. And then everyone has psychic abilities, but is everybody clairaudient and clairvoyant, or are some just one or the other?
There's actually, I believe, 5 clairs, but I might be missing one. But there are multiple clairs, and everyone typically has a strong or dominant clair, and you can have 1 to 2 dominant clairs. My personal dominant clair is actually claircognizance. So claircognizance is just clear knowing. I just know things, and I don't question them.
What is that? I want to ask about that part there. What is that? Like a feeling in your body? Is it a color? Is it just you feel it, or you just know? I know a deep truth.
It's kind of almost like telepathy. It's just you get a thought in your head and you just know, right? So it's kind of the hardest of the clairs, in my opinion, because there is no, I'm not seeing something, I'm not tasting something, I'm not feeling something. It's just, I just know. And I used to walk around like a little girl, saying outlandish things. And my parents were like, well, you can't just say that. I'm like, I just know. I was just a little diva. I was like, I just know this. I know so-and-so's cheating. I know I've seen it all. And as a little kid, you have no filter to it. So if your children start saying wacky things, trust that, because they don't really have blocks to this stuff. I'm also clairsentient. So that means I can feel. So sometimes I'll ask a spirit and soul how they passed, and I might feel tightness in my chest, or I might feel like my face drooping, which is like stroke. Heart attack is typically down like my arm. My arm will go numb. So that's clairsentience. There's clairalience, which is clear tasting or smelling. I believe it's smelling. But that's rarely comes through for me, but I've had it happen. And then, of course, the clairvoyance is like what most people know, which is clear seeing. So I am not super great at clairvoyance. However, my visions are more so like, you know how when you think of things in your imagination, that's kind of how I get information from spirit via clairvoyance. But I don't just see creepy like spirits just hanging around, unless it's someone I know, and that's a podcast for another time. But and then there's clairaudience, which is clear hearing. Now here's the caveat with clairaudience. It will come in your own voice. And I think that's what trips a lot of people up is it comes in your own voice. And I think that's where people start questioning it. They're like, is this just my imagination or is this guidance? And I always know when it's a spirit because it's something half the time I wouldn't say, or they say it in a manner I wouldn't say it. But the truth is with your clairs, you can always, while you have one or two dominant, it's kind of like working out any muscle. You can develop these clairs over time. And as I've opened up my gifts, my my clairvoyance has become better. And so has my clairaudience has really, really come in strong. But yeah, those are just kind of like our basic clairs. I think those were 5 of them.
Yeah, it makes sense. I didn't think of like all the sight, sound, touch, taste, smell. Now, when you have some kind of message that comes through, I see the ethical psychic idea, but is there like, say, sensitive information, right? How do you deal with that? Do you hold stuff back sometimes because you're just like, I can't tell this person? Or what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, I always say that if it comes through in my reading, in my pre-speech to spirit guides, I'm like, bring through anything and everything of the highest and best good for this client. So I trust that what's coming through. However, there has been a lot of sensitive information that came through, and I'll be able to read whether they're able to receive it. So if they're ready to receive it, I will deliver it. However, my mentor, Marianne DeMarco, she's brilliant. She has taught me to deliver messages with care and compassion, right? Oddly enough, I've had a lot of clients lately. They are married, and basically spirit has come through to talk about divorce, right? Which can be a very sensitive topic, right? However, each individual that I have read for was ready to hear the message. And the message is never, hey, go get a divorce. And I would never tell anybody that, right? That's not my business. But everyone has free will. So typically the message might go something like this, like, hey, you're in this relationship. I'll read the relationship dynamic and then kind of give them advice from there. Like, hey, you could stay. I don't see it changing anytime soon. You could leave. It's scary, but know that like you're going to be better for it or okay in the long run, right? I've even had a woman who, it was hysterical. I was starting to read her and I'm like, you want to know how to attract a partner and like a good man. And she was like, yes. And I'm like, but I see like you're already with someone. She's like, yeah, Mary. Like, and it was just, I never judge. It's not my space to judge. And I think a lot of things here in the physical realm and the human world, it's not like that on the other side. There's no judgment, but this person and her husband had agreed to, live separate lives, and that's okay. But which is why I was able to deliver the message, because she was like, oh yeah, like I'm fine with it. So, and then the other thing I do get asked, because this is going to come up, death. Can you see when I die? Nope. I don't want to know. I'm not going to see death. I will say this. If someone's if I read a client, I have had it where I've seen a loved one of theirs passing away, but it's already because they already know that. So that means the person's already terminally ill. And spirit will show me, I was talking to a client, her mom, I said, your mom has one foot on the other side. So that means she's terminally ill. And she was in her 90s. She's like, yep, absolutely. So, and I gave, helpful like advice to, transition, to help them with the transition and the grief as their mom went to the other side. But I don't see someone dying.
So there's something weird with me just in this podcast, and it seems like the seasons of the pod, we're at like 185 episodes, but it's always like I'm attracting whatever's going on. So if I'm like writing a book, all of a sudden writers are coming, whatever it is, right? And so lately, these mediums and channels have been showing up in psychic and death all together combined. And it's like just this last 3 weeks. And so nobody's dying, but the fact that these conversations are happening, or even just a YouTube video, like maybe the phone's listening, but all this is coming up with psychic, mediums, and death. And so now I'm like, oh man, I'm waiting around like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't, let me see what I can get. Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much, but pay attention to the signs, because it could just be spirit trying to open you up. And I really do feel actually it might, and you don't seem skeptical as I read your energy, but it's also kind of like, it seems like a new world to you almost. So it's like you're open-minded, but you're also like a tiny bit skeptical, right? Because, we all are. Even I'm skeptical sometimes, and I do this for a living. But you do seem very, very open to this. And maybe this is like kind of spirit's way of saying, hey, like, look into this stuff. You actually are, and I don't know if you've ever been told this, you're a super intuitive person.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. And then I was wondering, like, maybe it was the dog that person in the group. And I'm like, I don't hope it's that dog, but it's like, man, it would be better than a person. Thank you for all those kind compliments. But yeah, I'm definitely open to it. I've had some crazy, weird energy world things happen that I don't even tell my family, because they'll just think I'm crazy. And it's just like, it happened to me. And when I tell this story to my friends, I'm like, am I even saying this out loud? Like, it sounds unbelievable, right? And that's actually something I've happened and experienced. So I get it.
Do you have any, if you don't mind me asking, do you have any departed like loved ones that are like close to you?
My father died right in front of me, maybe 12 years ago.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, oh, I'm so sorry, because it's kind of funny, because when you started talking about that, I did see father, like father coming through. Let me see what, if you don't mind, I could try.
I don't mind at all.
Okay. We can always cut this out, right? Let me see. Okay. I'm going to ask you this because when I was actually meditating before this, okay, did he pass or something? He lost his breath, like really fast.
Really fast.
Yeah, it's just like he's taking me to the chest. I can't breathe. And it's just like, boom.
Heart attack.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, wow. Man. So it feels super heavy to me for you. Like almost like it's still fresh, because I feel like that you haven't dealt with it fully, because you had to kind of be strong for everyone else and kind of keep it together. Was he married? Like, I feel like your parents were still together. Does that make sense? Well, he was married. There's a woman, like a mom or stepmom.
Stepmom.
And she was just, it like tore her apart. And I almost feel like you had to keep it together and handle things.
That's what happened.
Because she couldn't.
Together. Nobody else was there. It was me, her, and him. And yeah. That's exactly kind of what happened.
Yeah. This is weird. I almost feel like I'm going to get up out of a chair and then I just fall.
Wow. Okay, so we were in the hospital, and he's like, we were just talking like this, and then he's like, so he fell in the morning in his house, and he couldn't get up off the ground, so they brought him to the hospital. And then when I was at the hospital, we're talking just like this, and then he's like, I had to use the commode, whatever, and he's like, just give me a minute, and then he got up, fell, and that was it.
Yeah. The reason, and they're tying this actually back, the reason you're getting a lot of psychic stuff and death stuff and all this stuff coming to you is because your daughter can do what I do. And it's almost about allowing her to explore that. And because it's coming to you, it's so that you can help her. Okay. And wow, that was so beautiful. And I just got goosebumps. That is my sign for confirmation. Yeah. Is there a, just one last thing, I'm sorry.
No,
is there a B name or a Brian name?
I don't think so.
Okay, just keep it in mind. And the other thing that I have to bring up is because this came through a reading this weekend, and it didn't resonate with my client, so we just left it. But when I was meditating before we started this podcast, I actually had the movie Grease come up, and the Grease song, and I was like, this is for this whoever I'm meeting with today. Does the movie Grease or Grease resonate with you at all? Like in your dad?
Slightly?
Yeah.
No, definitely not.
Again, keep it in mind because it's almost like in the client for my last reading, it's like the car in Grease Lightning that resonates. Like that red sports car. And then it might just be, I have a group reading this weekend, so sometimes their spirits come through early. So, wow.
I had a dog named Bailey, and he went over the Rainbow Bridge a couple years ago. That's a B. I don't know if that counts for a B. But...
So I can... No.
No. Okay.
It's like almost like somebody related to you, like, or connected to you. And it's almost like friends. It's like almost like... All right, I'm going to say it like this. Because sometimes they give future information. There might be a B name or a Brian name that I feel like you're going to partner with on business. And I don't think it's going to be a podcast. It's going to be something to do with the book you're writing, which you already told me, because I'm ethical when I read. I will tell you if you already told me something I know. You said you were writing a book. I think there's going to be a B name or a Brian, and it's a male. It's 100% a male. That is going to either help you with this, maybe a publisher or editor. Just keep it in mind for the future.
Well, thank you. That was awesome. I don't know if I should cut it or not, this whole part.
It's up to you.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So, as we begin to wind down this episode, if this resonates with you, please like, subscribe, share, and reach out to Becky Dodson. She is the real deal. I always ask everyone this, Becky. So this is the Phase 4 podcast, and Phase 4 in the 6th phase meditation by Vishen Lakhiani is all about creating your future 3 years from now. So where is Becky 3 years from now?
I definitely would love to be married with a family, settled somewhere. And I would love to do my medium business full time. So 3 years, that's where it is. My goal.
Amazing. And before I ask my final question, I just always let the guests take it where they want. So if you have something to sell, sell it. If you want to leave a message of hope or inspiration, or if something's coming through, let us know.
I always ask Spirit, give me the words to serve. So I'm just going to ask them right now. Yeah, just know that your loved ones are always here, even though they might be gone from the physical world. And remember that you are psychic too. So always trust that those gut pulls, that pieces of intuition, and follow your heart.
Beautiful. I know I said that was my final question, but now I have another one is, how does this work for yourself? Like, can you do it to yourself, or do you need someone else to do it? How does that work?
I do see psychics and mediums. It's cool because I have friends that will trade readings. But I can do it for myself. However, it's hard when you are emotionally attached to something. So that's also why I typically don't read for friends and family members if I'm emotionally attached to something. Because if I am, they will not get a clear reading. And again, that would not be ethical.
Have you ever heard of Lisa Nichols?
I don't know, the name is sounding familiar, but I can't think of her right now.
She's like a motivational speaker, but she tells this story about how you know if you should be telling your story or if you're too attached. And she says that there's a cake in the oven, and if you try to take the cake out of the oven while it's cooking, you're going to get burnt. And even when the cake comes out, if you try to touch it, it still might be too hot because it just came out. But you have to wait till the cake cools down, and then you can eat it, and it's yummy.
I love that. That's so awesome.
Yeah. So my final question is, how can people reach you?
So you can go to my website to book a virtual session. All my sessions are virtual, or you can follow me on Instagram at dogbotmedium, and I'm always there providing free advice and guidance.
Amazing. We'll put all those in the show notes. And Becky, thank you so much for your time today. This was awesome.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you.